An expectation is a broken promise that was never made. And so sometimes with social media, we expect things, which is a promise that we never made with the algorithm gods, with technology. And so my little moment this morning was triggered by, it spiraled, of course, into other things, but it was stemmed by social media, it was stemmed by Instagram. And it came up because there is a feeling of frustration when you pour your heart into something and you work really hard. When the external result doesn't produce the thing that you thought it should, then we can create stories, we can create meaning, right? This morning, I had one of those mornings. I don't know if you know what I mean, but it was just one of those mornings where I was sort of in my own head, in my own funk, and no matter how much I was meditating and reminding myself of whatever I needed, I just couldn't get out of my own way. I don't know if my cat asked me how my day was, but somehow Pandora's box got opened up and I started to pour into him and just tell him everything that was going on in my head, which are a lot of things like stories that we create. They're not really reality. There's fact and fiction. He started to kind of offer me tidbits, right? And I quickly stopped him and I said, babe, I'm not looking for feedback right now. I'm not looking for a solution to a problem. I'm just venting. I just want to let you know what's going on in my head. And I need you to just hold space if you can do that for me. And I'm so grateful that he did and we're able to have that type of communication with one another and nobody get upset, nobody get triggered, right? So that's basically the morning I was having. Now I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to be honest with you. Judge me or don't. It stemmed from Instagram, which just seems so ridiculous, right? And if you've been in my world, if you've ever been in a coaching container with me, you know that I don't have it all together all the time. And you know that because I always share. And I share a lot on social media too, but I certainly share more in closed containers with clients and I share vulnerably. I have been making content consistently, creating content consistently for 12 years, whether it was posting it on Facebook, Clubhouse, TikTok, Instagram. This has been my main platform for 9 years. So 9 years consistently over here, every day just showing up and doing lives and doing stories. And sometimes I feel like I don't have much left to say. And sometimes, even though I teach it and I know better, sometimes the external, the numbers, not the followers, but the pure engagement, the views on the stories, those external numbers, they'll just hit. And especially when I'm in a launch, right? Which we've all been there probably when you're launching and it's just not going the way that you expected. And there's this weird thing with expectation. So expectation is basically a promise that was broken, that only one person knew about the promise in the first place, right? An expectation is a broken promise that was never made. And so sometimes with social media, we expect things, which is a promise that we never made with the algorithm gods, with technology. And so my little moment this morning was triggered by, it spiraled, of course, into other things. But it was stemmed by social media, it was stemmed by Instagram. And it came up because there is a feeling of frustration when you pour your heart into something and you work really hard. When the external result doesn't produce the thing that you thought it should, then we can create stories, we can create meaning, right? Because we have to be really careful. We make things mean things, especially when we don't understand them. And so you might not think it, because I've been doing this for so many years, because I have such big launches, because I've had financial success, because I have a team behind me. And sometimes the stories that we create, the meaning that we make, for me, is that I'm not worthy. There are waves in business, right? And there are seasons. And for whatever reason, every now and then, my Instagram just hits a wall. And I know a lot of people have been struggling right now with things like engagement. And then there's also a lot of people who aren't. And that's part of the struggle, is the comparison. But her account isn't struggling, or his account, he's not having a hard time. His stuff always gets shared. I don't understand. Everybody, I shared him yesterday, Alex Hermosi, everybody loves him. Whatever the story is, right? There's fact and there's fiction. And so I say this to say, on my tiny little account here, which it's relative, 8,000 followers is not small, but it compared to my old account is small, and compared to a lot of my competitors or my peers who are at the level of business on that, it's very small. I have a baby account compared to most of my peers. And so with those numbers, I'm used to, this is the problem, right? I'm used to seeing 300 up to 1,000 story views per story, which is kind of average engagement. And I'm used to seeing on a post, a carousel, or a reel, posts and carousels reaching 1,000 is totally normal. Reels reaching 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 is totally normal. I'm not talking about likes or anything, I'm talking about reach. And so recently, for whatever reason, it's tanked. I think this morning, my last story from 24 hours ago has about 100 views on it right now. So down significantly. And then my posts, for whatever reason, the last couple days, literally are only reaching 100 people. So then when you take the normal stats of how many people would like, comment, etc., obviously those numbers are much smaller. So my last few posts literally have 14 likes, 1 comment, 23 likes, a couple saves. I'm used to getting hundreds of saves. It's just been crickets. And so when you have that over and over and over, day after day, where it feels like it's crickets, where it feels like nobody is seeing anything, where it feels like you're talking to nobody, it can be really difficult to show up. The frustration, of course, can bubble up that people aren't seeing it. But for me, it usually spirals into, what's wrong with me? Is it me? I'm not pretty enough. I'm not thin enough. And we start to question all of these things. And so this morning when I was having an off morning, it literally was triggered by social media. And I think it's really important, especially being someone who has been in the industry for so long and someone who's had so much success. And I say that in quotes because my definition of success has changed a lot over the years. But I know for a lot of my audience members and a lot of the clients we work with, they see me as successful because we do have a 7-figure a year business, which is amazing. And we have consistently for many years, and we have a team. And so this looks successful, right? I retired Mike from his corporate job and he works with me. There's a lot of people on here who want their spouse to come work with them. We travel the world. We're kind of digital nomads. And so all of these things, this freedom that we have, looks and is perceived a certain way on the outside. And it's amazing. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I've worked my butt off to get here. Despite those things, I still question. And despite those things, little insignificant things like likes, I don't care about the followers. It's the lack of engagement. It's the lack of reach that gets to me because I'm pouring my heart and soul into what I'm saying. And I know what I'm saying is so great and it helps so many people. And the frustration comes when it's like, why did that one, I'm not talking about going viral, but it's just like, why did nobody see that? That was so good. It would have been so helpful for so many people. And then I get down on myself, right? So anyway, I don't even know where I'm going with this. I was just sharing vulnerably with where I'm at. And yeah, I had a rough morning and I cried this morning to Mike and it was triggered and it started because of Instagram. But the interesting thing about being a service provider and being a coach and being a personal brand is that no matter how many times the mentor, how many times a friend can tell you to detach from the outcome, that the outcome doesn't matter, that we're here to just show up and serve and do it consistently over time, and that we have to be careful that we're not making meaning out of something, right? No matter how many times somebody can tell you that stuff externally, when you are the personal brand, when you're a coach, when you're a service provider, it is very difficult to fully detach from not the outcome, but the result. But I'm not talking right now about the financial, how many people enroll or anything like that. That's a whole other branch. I'm just talking about in general, putting in the work and the time and the effort and being vulnerable and authentic and putting yourself out there and creating and constantly creating. I've been creating consistently for 12 years online, just every single day, creating. And when you feel like it's not being seen and then you question why, is it because it's not enough? Then it's really hard to disassociate that from me because I am still very much the brand. And so we create these stories because we make things in our business mean things about us. We get to be really cautious and mindful that we're not doing that. And there's so much strategy that you can do. So you can look at the strategy and go, all right, I can change my subject lines. I can change my messaging. Maybe I should niche down more so that I'm not talking to too many people. I'm super clear on who I'm speaking to. There's all these things that you can do strategically. And I'm like the queen of strategy. I love it. I'm the masculine teacher. I love strategy, but there's also the energy side of things and the mindset side of things. And that's the work that we get to do. And when you sign up to be a coach, when you sign up to be an entrepreneur, what you're actually signing up for is a rocket ship to personal development because it is going to force you to take a look at things that you haven't looked at before. Entrepreneurship is going to present to you opportunities and it's going to invite you in to look at the shadows, to look at the trauma, to figure out why you think and act the way that you do. And you could choose to resist it, but what we both know is that what we resist persists. So you could choose to resist it or you could choose to do the work, as they say. And the work is really sitting there and reflecting on, all right, well, what are my own patterns and habits and what are my triggers and what's the type of support that I need in what moments of what different days when things come up? What do I need? And why am I doing these things? What am I looking for externally? What happened when I was younger? Was I rejected, right? All of this stuff, this is the work. And I will tell you that it is not fun when you're in it, but I will also tell you that it's absolutely worth it when you're on the other side of it. And this is the growth and the evolution that we all want. We all want want to grow. We all want to evolve. We don't want to stay the same. But what I want to remind you of, I'm not posting to be popular. I'm not trying to get, I'm giving. I'm not trying to sell, I'm serving. And when I can come back to that and I can remember that, okay, no big whoop, as I used to say as I was a little kid, no big whoop, right? Sometimes there's 1,000 story views and sometimes there's 100 story views. But ultimately, if there's one person in the 100 or one person in the 1,000 that hears something that hits them, and that's the point. If there's one person who anything that I say just resonates in that moment, then it was all worth it. What else? I think that's it. I think that's all I want to say. I really appreciate you for holding space, because one of the things that was such a trigger this morning was feeling like I had no one. And so you holding space here today is reminding me that I do even have friends on the internet who will hold space. I love you dearly, and as always, my friends, cheers to your evolution. Do me a favor, if there's someone in your life that you feel like this conversation could resonate with, of course you can share it on social media, I would love that, but send it to them. I love you.